Silence does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It does not explain its presence. Yet when it enters a room, behavior changes. Before we begin, understand this. If you are a man who values discipline, clarity, and quiet authority, you should be subscribed to this channel, not for motivation, for mental training, for structure, for truth. Now listen carefully. Most men believe success announces itself. They believe power speaks loudly. They believe dominance needs explanation. This belief is why they remain average. The myth is simple. If you are important, you will be seen. If you are strong, you will be heard. If you are winning, people will know. That is false. Real authority does not seek volume. It does not negotiate attention. It does not perform. The most intimidating men are not loud. They are still. You have seen this pattern before, whether you understood it or not. A man enters a room. He does not scan for approval. He does not fill silence. He does not explain himself. And the room adjusts, not because of fear, but because of certainty. Silence backed by preparation is not emptiness. It is density. Most men speak to cover insecurity. They explain to compensate for lack of results. They react because they are not in control. Silence, when earned, signals something dangerous. It signals that nothing needs to be proven. This is why a disciplined fighter who walked away undefeated unsettled entire divisions without saying much. This is why a seasoned interviewer, after decades of conversations, paused when facing a man who did not perform for approval. The intimidation was not physical, it was psychological, because silence exposes what others lack. Now ask yourself, why do you feel uncomfortable in silence? Why do you rush to speak? Why do you feel the urge to justify your choices? That discomfort is data. Men secretly believe that confidence comes from expression, from charisma, from being impressive. In reality, confidence comes from internal alignment. From knowing your preparation matches the demands ahead. The invisible work is where real men are forged, not on camera, not in public, not when applause is possible. Invisible work is boring, repetitive, unrewarded. That is why most men avoid it. The disciplined man trains when no one is watching. He studies when no one claps. He refines his craft without announcing progress. Every day, every day, every day. Not for motivation, for alignment. This is the work that builds silence with weight behind it. Preparation meeting opportunity is not a phrase. It is a law. When opportunity arrives, it does not ask if you feel ready. It tests whether you are. Men who rely on motivation panic under pressure. Men who rely on systems perform. Pressure does not create character. It reveals patterns. Consider two situations. A man faces a sudden financial crisis. Bills stack. Income drops. Uncertainty increases. One man reacts emotionally. He complains. He seeks reassurance. He blames conditions. Another man becomes quieter. He reviews numbers. He cuts waste. He increases output. He adjusts strategy. Same pressure, different pattern. Or consider a confrontation at work. Authority challenged. Ego provoked. One man raises his voice. He explains. He defends. He leaks emotion. Another man pauses. He asks one precise question. He lets silence do the work. The room recalibrates. Pressure reveals whether you trained your mind or outsourced it to mood. Focus is not a preference, it is territory. If you do not guard it, someone else will occupy it. Distraction is not accidental, it is designed. The average man consumes more noise than he produces value. Endless opinions, endless commentary, endless stimulation. And then he wonders why he lacks clarity. Focus requires subtraction, not addition. You do not need more information, you need fewer inputs. Guard your mornings, guard your evenings, guard your mental bandwidth. What you allow into your attention shapes your identity. The growth sequence is not negotiable. Learn, apply, evaluate, correct, persist. Most men stop at learning. They collect ideas like trophies. They never bleed in application. Application exposes weakness. Evaluation requires honesty. Correction demands humility. Persistence tests identity. This cycle is why disciplined men grow quietly while loud men stagnate publicly. Discipline is superior to motivation because discipline does not ask permission from emotion. Motivation is a mood. Systems are architecture. A system executes even when you are tired. A system holds you accountable when enthusiasm fades. You do not rise to motivation. You fall to the level of your systems. Strategic patience separates men from boys. Every meaningful outcome operates on delayed reward. Strength, skill, wealth, respect. Impatience reveals entitlement. The silent man understands seasons. He understands that forcing results early weakens outcomes later. He does not rush recognition. He compounds competence. Feedback is not an insult. It is information. The disciplined man measures. He reviews. He adjusts. He owns mistakes without drama. He corrects without excuse. Momentum builds quietly at first, like a flywheel. The first rotations feel heavy. Progress appears invisible. Then one day, motion sustains itself. This is where most men quit. Right before compounding accelerates. Breakthrough is not an event. It is a lifestyle. Emotional control. Identity stability. Internal authority. The man who intimidates without noise is not trying to dominate. He is aligned. And alignment is felt. Now understand this. Silence without substance is weakness. Silence with preparation is power. Which one are you building? This channel exists for men who choose the harder path, the quieter path, the disciplined path. If that is you, stay here. Subscribe. Train your mind. Now continue listening. Because we have not yet addressed the cost of maintaining this silence and the discipline required to sustain it when the world pressures you to perform instead of become. Silence is not passive. It is actively maintained. The world rewards reaction. It rewards commentary. It rewards visibility without depth. You will be pressured to speak before you are ready, to share before you have mastered, to perform before you have earned authority. This pressure is constant. Men break here. They confuse presence with relevance. They confuse being noticed with being respected. The disciplined man resists this. He understands that every word he releases must be backed by reality, by repetition, by tested capacity. This is why his silence carries weight. It is not absence. It is restraint. Emotion follows structure, not the other way around. You do not feel disciplined and then act disciplined. You act disciplined until discipline becomes identity. Identity is the end goal. When discipline becomes identity, silence becomes natural. You no longer need to announce standards. You live them. Now understand the cost. You will be misunderstood. Your quiet will be interpreted as arrogance or weakness. Let it. The need to be understood by everyone is immaturity. The disciplined man does not clarify himself for those unwilling to observe. Results clarify. Time clarifies. Your responsibility is not to be liked. It is to be aligned. This is why distraction kills authority. Endless scrolling trains reactivity. Constant noise weakens attention span. Fragmented focus produces fragmented identity. You cannot intimidate anyone, including yourself, if your mind is scattered. Guard your inputs like a commander guards supply lines. What you consume becomes what you tolerate. What you tolerate becomes who you are. This is the uncomfortable truth. Most men know what to do. They just refuse to do it consistently. Consistency is the real separator. The growth sequence never changes. Learn, apply, evaluate, correct, persist. Notice what is missing from that list. Emotion. Strategic patience demands sacrifice. You will delay rewards others chase immediately. You'll train when others relax. You'll refine when others display. This creates distance. Distance is necessary. Distance protects focus. Distance creates perspective. Distance compounds advantage. Most men want results without separation. That is impossible. You cannot build uncommon strength with common habits. Feedback is where many men fail again. They either reject it defensively or accept it passively without change. The disciplined man dissects feedback. What is accurate? What is noise? What requires correction? He does not outsource responsibility. He owns outcomes. Ownership is silent power. No excuses, no explanations, no emotional narratives, just adjustment. Momentum follows ownership. The flywheel does not respond to intensity spikes. It responds to steady pressure. Day after day, week after week, year after year. This is why silence intimidates. It signals longevity. A man who is not rushing is dangerous to systems built on urgency. He cannot be manipulated by panic. He cannot be baited by provocation. He cannot be distracted by novelty. He operates on principle. Principles are heavier than opinions. Breakthrough, then, is not applause. It is internal command. You wake up steady, you act deliberately, you respond proportionally, your emotions inform but do not control. This is authority. Not loud, not aggressive, not performative. Stable. The man who embodies this does not need to explain himself. His presence communicates structure. That is why silence backed by discipline unsettles others. It confronts their chaos without accusation. Now ask yourself honestly, are you building noise or are you building weight? One fades, one remains. This channel exists to train men who choose weight. If you are committed to discipline over comfort, truth over validation, structure over impulse, you belong here. Stay with this, because silence is not the end state. It is the foundation. Once you understand silence, you must learn how to wield it without becoming passive. Many men misunderstand this. They hear restraint and interpret withdrawal. They hear patience and interpret hesitation. That is weakness disguised as philosophy. True silence is paired with decisiveness. The disciplined man is not slow to act. He is slow to react. Reaction is emotional. Action is intentional. This distinction matters. Most men live in reaction loops. They respond to messages immediately. They answer provocations instantly. They make decisions under emotional pressure. This trains the nervous system to obey urgency. Urgency is the enemy of authority. The man who controls timing controls outcomes. Silence creates space. Space creates options. Options create leverage. Leverage is power without force. You do not need to dominate when you can position. Positioning requires foresight. Foresight requires stillness. This is why constant stimulation weakens men. There is no stillness to think, no space to see patterns. The silent man sees what others miss because he is not consumed by noise. He notices cycles. He notices tendencies. He notices predictable human behavior. And because he sees patterns, he prepares instead of reacts. Preparation is respect for reality. Reality does not reward optimism. It rewards readiness. Now confront this truth. Most men fear silence because it removes distraction, and without distraction, they are forced to face themselves, their inconsistencies, their broken promises, their lack of follow-through. Noise numbs accountability. Silence sharpens it. This is why disciplined men schedule solitude. Not for comfort, for confrontation. In solitude, excuses collapse. You cannot blame the world when you are alone with your results. This is where identity is forged. Not when things go well, but when no one is watching and you still execute. Ask yourself, who are you when there is no audience? Who are you when progress is invisible? Who are you when effort goes unrewarded? That man is the real one. Everything else is performance. The intimidating quality of silence comes from this internal congruence. There is no split between who you claim to be and how you behave. Split creates anxiety. Alignment creates calm. Calm unnerves reactive people. They need chaos to feel alive. They need drama to feel significant. They need validation to feel real. Your silence denies them access. This is not cruelty. It is boundary. Boundaries are a form of self-respect. Men without boundaries explain themselves. Men with boundaries decide. Decision-making is another invisible discipline. The disciplined man limits decisions. He removes trivial choices. He standardizes habits. This conserves mental energy. Energy is finite. Waste it on nonsense and you'll have none left for what matters. Silence conserves energy. Every unnecessary argument drains it. Every emotional explanation leaks it. Every impulsive response taxes it. The disciplined man is selective. Selective attention, selective speech, selective engagement. This selectivity creates density, few words, clear actions, consistent output. Over time, people stop questioning you, not because you demand respect, but because you no longer signal uncertainty. Uncertainty invites challenge. Certainty invites distance. Distance invites respect. Now understand this clearly. You do not intimidate by trying to intimidate. You intimidate by refusing to need anything from others. Neediness is loud. Self-sufficiency is quiet. The man who needs approval speaks differently, moves differently, decides differently. The man who does not need it is free. Freedom is dangerous. Free men cannot be easily controlled. They cannot be rushed. They cannot be baited. This is why systems often reward compliant noise over disciplined silence. Noise is predictable. Silence is not. Predictability is manageable. Unpredictable calm is threatening. But your goal is not to threaten. It is to master yourself. External effects are secondary. Self-mastery demands ongoing refinement. You do not reach discipline and stop. You maintain it. Maintenance is harder than acquisition. Anyone can sprint briefly. Few can hold pace for years. This is where patience becomes identity. You stop asking, when will it pay off? You start asking, is this the man I am willing to be long-term? Long-term thinking filters weak strategies. If it cannot be sustained, it is not discipline. It is a phase. Silence, when integrated properly, becomes your baseline. You speak when necessary. You act when decisive. You wait when strategic. No excess. No waste. This is not about being cold. It is about being clear. Clarity allows compassion without weakness, strength without aggression, authority without dominance. This is the type of man others feel before they understand. And finally, understand this. Silence is not what intimidates. Consistency does. Silence just makes consistency visible. When your actions never contradict your standards, when your emotions never hijack your behavior, when your words always align with your results, people notice. They adjust. They either rise or move away. Both outcomes are acceptable. Because you are no longer building for approval, you are building for permanence. If you are serious about becoming that man, remain here. This channel is not for everyone. It is for men who value restraint over noise, structure over impulse, depth over display. Subscribe if you are committed to that path. Then leave this video and do the work quietly.